was a Smoky Joe. This was one. Here we have two bowls. These were given to the museum by my own wife, and they in turn were given to her by her mother. Her mother died 3 years ago at the age of 98, and she had these bowls all her life. The one on the right here, a fruit bowl, is well over 100 years old. This one here on the left we have had for over 40 years and didn't know that it was a piece of old County-Down crockery, and by the texture of the clay it seems to have been made down around Killaloch, where the brickworks is at the present time. Below the bowls we have 3 bed warmers. The white elephant on the left was given by a local man, while these 2 copper ones here were taken from Lord Ronan's castle in Tullymore when it was being demolished in the 1960s. The item here is an old wet battery for a wireless set. Before the electricity went through the country areas, all the farmer had was a battery set, and you needed one dry battery which lasted a year, and you needed one of these which lasted a week. So the people usually had 2 of these, and when one was in use, the other was usually taken into the town by the bread server to be charged and brought out by the same man at the end of the week. We have a lovely little calendar belonging to William Patterson, a hardware merchant in Castlewellan in 1934. He was in the upper square, just close to Ulster Bank. This item here is the poor man's lantern, complete with candle. You'd often meet this farmer coming along with this swinging on the front of the shaft of his kirt. And up here to the right again, we have a little pint measure used by the local milkman. This is a horse blind dated 1900, made by Tom Cusick, a saddler in the town. He had his shop at the middle hill end of the town. This is a clay type I dug up in my own garden, and on it is printed Belfast Cutty. It's in first-class condition. And here we have a little pair of spectacles. These could have been bought in any fair in the 30s, up to the 30s, for 6pence. And another set of spectacles here. These are rare old-fashioned American type spectacles. They were presented to her by a woman who spent the most of her life in the USA. This here is a very old radio and radio speaker. You can notice that I am very cramped for space and just have to stuff items in any corner I can find. Here we have a pair of clogs made in Buster's little factory across the road. before the war. And there's another lot of bits and pieces. She's making pieces from a shop that was closed down some years ago on the main street. I have here a really beautiful collection of old smoothing irons, with a little solid iron, the box iron, the paddle iron, the Tully paraffin iron, 2 old goose irons from local drapery shops, a gas iron, and this is a very, very rare old type of goose iron. It says here on this coat or hanger, Gardner and Blackwood, Castlewellan. They were tailors and outfitters on the main street from late in the 1800s to early in the 1900s. This funny looking item here is an old ship's candlestick. You can see a little hood over the candle to keep the flame from being blown out. This is a twine holder by Belfast Rope Works. It was a present to McCalman Hardware on the main street when they opened in the late 1920s. That is the original ball of twine. Three nice little table lamps, all paraffin oil burners. This little item here is a miner's safety lamp. It must be around 200 years old. It has no connection with the town, but was given in by the Castlewellan family. They are all now deceased. It burned in a very, very tiny glow using paraffin oil. When this little light went out, the miner knew his oxygen was gone, so he ran for the entrance. One very peculiar thing about this little lamp, or this type of little lamp, a naked flame in a coal mine would cause an explosion. But the very fact that they put a little piece of gauze wire around this lamp made it absolutely safe. That's one now for you to work out. 1934 radio. It is going perfectly. It was the first all-main set sold in 1934 when the electric came to the country. It came from the little shop, cycle shop next door here, run by Hugh McKelvey, a Ballyhinch man. It was handed in by an old woman who died last year at 90, and she had it since 1934. We have down here on the floor a great collection of old shoemaker's lasts. There seems to be no scarcity of these at the present time. This here is a wine sample case. It belonged to many brothers and was carried all over Ireland. Many's blended their own whisky and named it the Donner Jew. And this whisky was shipped all over the world. They are also very big in other wines and sold it all over Ireland. These are a pair of very old binoculars, and they look very like army type. my brother's Castlewellan. And this is one of their little tick books. The kids ran to the shop all week for their groceries, and when the bread earner came home on a Saturday, the mother went up and squared off the bill. Here we have an old built head from George Wilson. George had a little cycle shop on the main street, from the very early in the century up till about the end of the 50s. He was a little Boer War soldier with a white wax moustache and a very rare old character. Everybody called him Toby, but definitely not to his face. Here the Primus stove. It burned paraffin, but it was turned into gas and gave a very hot flame. You can also see this little stand for setting over the Primus stove. There were 3 rings which you could lift off and keep 3 pots boiling at once. These are a very rare item at the moment. Here we have a horse-hood glue pot. There's actually 2 pots in one here. The outside one was filled with water which was kept boiling on the stove, while the inside one was filled with a resin that was squeezed from horses' hoofs. Before the war, this was the only type of glue known from furniture making. Another selection of razors, an old razor, safety razor, and the old cutthroat. This little item here now is a surgery kit. It consists of a little container for methylated spirits and a little wick burner, and of course the knife. It may have been part of a veterinary kit, or maybe belonged to an army doctor in one of the earlier wars. It certainly is very old. These scales are from the post office, and sitting on it here we have a Queen's pudding bowl. This baffled us for a while because we thought it had come from the palace, but I understand from some chefs that call here that you can still order your Queen's pudding. This item here is one of the little wooden matchboxes dating very far back in the century.